Chocolate, that's a good thing before I got a little sleep. Got in last night, went to bed at 3 o'clock, woke up at 6:13 this morning to the guy from the front desk in my room at the foot of my bed.
Oh, jeez.
Little freaky wake up, let me tell you.
Somebody you're not familiar with?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Bates.
Wasn't even the guy that checked me in.
And when you wake up in a weird place, you always think it for the first few seconds, I'm at home.
Yeah.
And then you realize you're not
You
at
here
home.
for tag manager?
Yeah.
All right, you're in the right place. I've had one person walk out on that question. So, yeah, that was my freaky morning.
Why was he there?
Apparently I got noise complaints on my alarm.
So what device was?
The Nexus 6 has very good speakers
Yeah.
that will wake up the people in the room next to you if they've slept longer than you. So it might suck battery life sometimes, but it'll wake you up most of the time. Let's see. Are you here for tag manager?
Indeed.
Excellent. You should have said, fix the wall. Not my fault.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a talk with them sometime. I've already tweeted the DoubleTree. I'm like, I don't know if it's alright that you guys are coming in my room. Alright. I don't even know how to full screen this anymore.
Yes,
Well, you're gonna deal with all of my, what looks like partially Internet Explorer bookmarks.
we don't know what F keys are.
F11?
Yeah.
12?
I tried both of those,
Huh.
and since they're also page up, page down. Wait, do I have to function key?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Yay!
Why do they make this
All that
stupid Microsoft?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it fixes it if you had Alt F4.
I think Control Alt Delete does the same. So, welcome to my Tag Manager talk. What do you guys develop for? I guess. Are you app developers or web?
In the middle.
Web.
Web. Are we mostly web? Alright, then I'll just go for the web shit and skip out on most of the Android and iOS stuff. To save you time. Alright, so what is Tag Manager? This is Google's horrible description of what Tag Manager is, because I don't agree with this. It doesn't make it easy for marketers because they still need a developer. So I never came up with a good description of what it was to a better one than what they had. So Tag Manager is a free tool that makes it easy for marketers to add and update website tags, including conversion tracking, site analytics, remarketing, and more, with just a few clicks and without needing to edit your website code. It also works for Android and iOS, and there's some really cool stuff you can do with that. I'm actually going to touch on that a little bit. You can dynamically update strings actually on Android and iOS, so you can like update the UI or like settings on a game, which is super awesome. You can come in person looking in the window, but you're not anymore. All right. So I know a little bit about that side of it. I can't say I'm necessarily proficient in it, but I can try and answer your questions on that part. So why the hell should you care? Easy implementation. It's just as easy as putting analytics on there, but you can do a whole hell of a lot more with it. As I said before, you can dynamically configure mobile apps. It has version control, so when your boss goes in and starts screwing with stuff, if you know what version you were on that worked correctly, you can just go back, click, and say publish, and it's fixed. Debugging, you can debug with it. I saw your reviews. So, let's go over the basics. I don't know what my next slide is. Awesome. So it does know what tag is. Alright. Don't remember, I don't have my speaker notes apparently popping up, so you're going to have to deal with this. A tag is like a snippet of code that sends information to a third party. So there's a whole bunch of different tags on Tag Manager by default that you can choose, like analytics, AdWords, double click, ClickTail's one I've used before. I don't know if I've used any of the other ones really before. I've used their custom HTML tag before to actually have it grab information from like Weather Underground using their APIs. Or that might have been, I'm pretty sure that was the custom HTML tag I used on that. And I think I might have that set up to do a Konami code on the website. Just because, you know, you gotta have some fun. So we're gonna screw with my company's website without them knowing. So the basic triggers, triggers are what obviously trigger the tags. You can have it trigger based on either page you click, something on a forum, history change, so like on Ajax sites, if the history is changing, that changes. There's custom events that you can push in the data layer, which is part of Tag Manager, which I use that in the Konami code part to trigger an event in analytics to know that someone actually entered the Konami code on the website.
Pardon that somebody entered what?
The Konami code. It's a video game thing.
Oh.
It's alright, Mark.
I'll ask my son.
You know, your son might be too young
Oh.
to understand the
Yeah.
Konami code.
Konami's what, like 85?
Yeah, you really had to get into Contra to understand
Yeah.
what it
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's essentially a video game cheat that's fairly proficient. That
It was
was
in most of the Konami games.
yeah, which I believe was the code used for testers so that they could just blow through it and test everything. So I put that in there. You can even have it trigger on JavaScript errors so that you can actually report back error messages to like analytics, so that you can see like what line things are trigger, you know, what URL, what line in the code, and what error you're getting, so that you can look through the events and say, oh, something's messing up, I should probably fix that. And there's a timer, so like if you want to deal with like the bounce rate and it's like a blog where someone's reading it, you can just set a timer to keep the section alive. And then there's variables, which make Tag Manager awesome. So the clicks and form ones are actually, move them out of the way, are pretty much the same thing, just one's on forms and the other's when you click. You can get like the element from it, you can get what class where you click, the ID of like the link, the target, the URL, and even the text within it. So as I'll show later, if you post a whole bunch of different like PDFs, for example, on your site, and you're sick of putting events for every PDF you post up, you can have it automatically essentially tag them and grab what the file name was and what the text was and all that. Page URL, hostname path, and the refer. I don't know if I need to explain any of those. If you need help with those, I can explain it. All right. Events. So actually, the ones that are checked are the ones that are on by default, by the way. And Tag Manager is made up of containers, which is where all your tags, your triggers, which are also known as rules in the last version. Or if you're still doing the Android and iOS side, it's rules. And variables were known as macros on the older version. So those are all put into a container. You can get the container ID in the container version. So like you could set up a custom dimension so that you know what container is firing all those. So that when your boss does screw it up, you know which one to go back to. And I don't know a really good use for the random number, but you can use the random number generator if you want. As I was saying with the error messages and all that, there's, when you have fire on the JavaScript error, you can have it put like the error message as the event or the category or the label or action or whatever. And same with the others. When you have that JavaScript error pop up. Debug mode is literally if debug mode is on or off on Tag Manager. And all the history stuff is for the like Ajax single page apps. So that when you're switching between pages, it can fire those off. I have not played with those ones, so I'm not gonna try anything. It's too much. And you can create your own variables as well, which is based on a whole bunch of other stuff. One you will most definitely be using is probably the constant, which whenever I start up a new container, and I'm using Google Analytics, I put the UA tracking number as a constant. I'll show that as well in a bit here. Trying to think of ones that I use frequently. That's really the one I use the most, probably. Yeah. And actually, the lookup table is kind of neat too, because if you're in debug mode, you probably don't want all of those hits going back to like your analytics saying that you were on the site. If you actually set up two different profiles in analytics, you can actually have it say if it's in debug mode, send it to this one as opposed to sending it to the main. You could set up the filters as well, but
So you can segment out your.
you could segment out like whether you're debugging or, yeah. So without setting up the filters in analytics.
Oh, right, oh, I got you.
So, yeah, and again, I don't want to be one of those boring talks where it's me just talking at you. So if you have questions, fire them at me.
Dan, I have a question.
All right.
Maybe it's because I didn't get enough sleep either last night, but I still don't understand the context here. Could you maybe show an examples? I know what context to put all these variables in.
That is coming up in a second here, sir.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And actually, one reason I give this talk is because every Googler I've asked about Tag Manager does not have an answer other than, what's Tag Manager? Which has kind of like put me on this like, all right, this is your own product, and none of your employees seem to know what it is. So, all right, we're gonna pop open Tag Manager. Ah, damn it. That's gonna. Sorry about that.
While you're doing that, where did you find that page with the list of all the available tags you could install from like other partners and companies and stuff?
That's actually just when you go to create a new tag.
Okay, I'm on that page now, and I want to see where that was.
So, are you using, okay, so there's two versions of Tag Manager right now. There's version 1 and version 2.
For the next
Oh.
week.
What?
Aren't they switching to the second version on April 1st?
Maybe.
I think so.
I didn't know the exact date
April Fool's
when they were doing it.
How do I get to V2 then?
Tagmanager.google.com.
Tag manager.
It looks a lot cleaner and a lot
I
nicer.
guess I could use my laptop.
It looks probably a lot better on your laptop.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's someone else that knows that Tag Manager in here, and I hope I don't bore you back there then.
No, I don't know it that well. It's-
All right, sweet. Why am I getting nothing showing up on the screen? Awesome. This is just how I want it to come.
I'll push buttons and it might work, and if it does.
I didn't, there we go. Got it.
See, it was scared, you just had to threaten it.
Yeah.
Ready to several?
I love when that happens.
Good job.
That is the second time that's happened to me in like 2 weeks. Where someone has threatened it.
Oh, sure.
Where is it?
Oh, you actually have to create an account on the new UI, otherwise you have a legacy account.
Yeah, if you're saying next week, maybe they're switching all, do you know if they're switching the ones over?
It said April 1st, the
Okay.
last time I looked, but I'll check.
I just hadn't looked when all of it was switching over.
It's a lot prettier.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull up my company's account, or the company I work for's account. So, all right, ask your question again, Martin.
Okay, so, could you show an example of tag manager for this in actual use and what it looks like, what it does?
Okay, so this is Tag Manager.
Okay.
This is, so within it you have containers and you create tags and triggers and variables as I want within those containers. And it will,
And what does it look like on the website and what does it do?
On the
In one
website-
particular, could we see a particular example?
so on the website you're not gonna see any difference.
Okay. But there's a snippet of JavaScript code?
Yeah, there's, so the whole small bit of code you put in, you go over to admin whenever you get an account set up, or if you have one set up already. Why did I not find it? Install Tag Manager. It's a really, a little bit convoluted code, but essentially you're sticking an iframe on your site. Oh, Lloyd decided to show up, finally.
I couldn't find her, I've been looking everywhere.
Except for you walked past the room earlier. I got people's. So you put that on the site, like here we'll pull up. And just kill the other. Oh, that's not right. So, put it right after the body tag, which is way too much crap on this page, but so you just stick that in there. It works a lot like analytics, but there's a lot more that you can do with it. I'll show you guys how to set up analytics, how to do some auto event tracking, how to push custom events to the data layer, which actually, there's this whole data layer thing, which if you go to, going totally out of order, but this will be fun. You can actually look at the data layer in the console, which,
Cool. Did you do that, or does it auto just throw everything in console.log?
if you just, there's a lot better ways of debugging, but this is how I used to debug it.
But does it automatically just throw everything to console.log?
I believe so, because
Okay,
I just
cool.
type in data layer and it pulls it right up.
Awesome.
So, so what I used to do on the old one was dig through, I'm trying to remember what I dug through to set up some certain, well, anyways, there's the really old way that you could debug and go through this. I'm going to show you more relevant things. I'm kidding.
Now you put it on suchtechnical.com.
Yeah.
And what does that give?
So with Tag Manager, I actually have our Tag Manager firing a whole ton of tags at different times. So I've actually got it so I'm able to track when someone watches a YouTube video and how far into it they get, even though it's an iframe within the site. So using the JavaScript API that YouTube has. Yeah. I don't know if it's the player one or what else. But I'm sure it's probably a player API. But it's so, but I've got that going. I didn't even think that was possible until I found that on the web, on using Tag Manager for that. Every time there's an outbound link that's clicked, I have it doing an auto event on that, which I'll explain auto events in a second here, so that I don't have to set up an event saying someone's going somewhere else. Essentially, because with analytics before, you'd have to do this whole event string on like on a link click, essentially. Where with Tag Manager, you can go in and set up a trigger new for a click, and if it's a link click, I never really look at this stuff underneath it. I typically just continue there, and then make it like when the element URL on here. I'll pull up one that's actually already created for elements. Since I don't remember, oh, the page URL. Oh yeah, the click URL, okay. Does not contain sunchemical.com. It actually fires a tag over here. So it'll fire another Google Analytics event that uses, when it's in these brackets, that's the variables. So it's using the click URL as the events are made up of categories, actions, and there's even label. But so let's trying to think of. I think that's a URL. Okay, that shows. Oh no, okay. So if I click here, look at the events, the not bound link to interpack.com was fired from that tag. With setting up just that trigger and that tag, which really saves a lot of time and effort if you're going through creating a page. You don't have to go through the process of making sure that you've tagged every outbound link with another event for each outbound link, which is a pain in the ass, and I never did before. So, I've also got it set up so that when I download a PDF, which I don't know where there's, no, I'm not going to fill out a form because my lead generation person will kill me. So, I'm not going to download a form, but the same thing happens when the PDF is downloaded. It'll fire off an event and say, hey, this PDF is downloaded, which, if I go here, yeah, so the YouTube one, for example, fires a whole bunch of different events. I'll show that. So I've got it set up so that the label is actually what the video is. along with its really annoying string. I need to clean that up. But there's a play action, a pause action, whether you got 25% through it, 50%, 75%, or all the way through it. Which not a lot of people get all the way through the videos, apparently.
I mean, like, just getting that information set up was working for a lot of companies. I've
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah, and being able to get that in there. So, I want to say, I think there's a variable, I'm trying to remember what all I know I found it online, so the instructions on there will probably be a lot better. Because I'm just going off memory here right now. But yeah, so it checks if YouTube is present and actually puts on, no, it's not on this one. But first it checks if YouTube is present. And then there's another, I believe, okay, yeah. It's custom JavaScript that's being created as a variable. When it detects YouTube's present, it actually checks to see, I don't know which one it is because my labeling was horrible apparently. Maybe custom event? No, that is absolutely nothing. So I believe it's a tag, but I'm going to shut up on that part. And it actually enables the JavaScript API at that point. If you're looking for this, just do a search for YouTube Tag Manager. I'm sorry I'm sucking at giving directions on this, but at least you now know it exists. It's, I think I got it from like cardinalpath.com. And there's some other guy that claims he improved it. I didn't look at it. But it enables the JavaScript API and another tag, and then that triggers it to then start a whole push of different things. Oh, actually, if I looked, yeah, so I have a custom HTML tag that is adding the JavaScript to add on the JavaScript API. So, Jeff, don't talk during people's talks. It's okay. I'm just giving shit. Gone longer than I thought it would. That's awesome. But hold on. I have more talking points. Yeah. So one of the things I was tracking at one point, I don't even have it set up, but was really cool and what kind of really turned me on to Tag Manager was tying into. I tied into the found a resource that told me how to tie into the Weather Underground's API. So I was able to get the weather of the people who made a purchase on the site. And my whole goal with that at one point was like, I'm gonna hyper seasonalize these purchases and then use that to like auto bid on AdWords. Like when it's this temperature in this region, let's start bidding high because they're gonna purchase. And I probably wouldn't have found any real information on that with what I was doing, but that's a really cool thing.
Did they make money on that?
I actually got let go before I really got to do that, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
I got it implemented, but I didn't tell them I implemented this. I was just going to show up one day with a year's worth of data. Being like, see, this is true. And make them make a data-driven decision, but, because they didn't like listening to me at that company anyways. So.
Can you get like form data? Is it something that you've done? We go with the other one.
So there is the variables. I don't know if you can. There might be a way to. I mean, in theory, you could always set up a JavaScript one that, when the form's submitted, grab stuff up. I'd imagine you could somehow. I haven't set it up. Good luck to you, sir. I guess typically when a form's submitted, I've got a place that it's going to anyways.
Right.
So I haven't thought of where I would put that at that point. So I don't have an answer on that.
But if it goes into analytics, then you could tie it with other things, right? So people
Yeah.
who come from this refer tend to fill out this form in this way, right? Or people from New York State fill out.
Well, I guess
that
theoretically
way.
then you could even tie a user ID to an actual name if you were able to get, because you're looking at getting like the name and all that they filled out, right?
Yeah, or just like if you have different preferences in the form, like radio, button.
Sounds like that might be very useful to get that.
Actually, you could, I'm gonna say you probably could get the form text. Because form text is a option, so I don't know. Try it out, have some fun. That's, I guess, how I'm gonna answer that question.
Explore.
Yeah. Be googly.
Well, so if you go back to the root of the whole thing, analytics says tons of powerful things that most people don't know how to use because you have to augment the tracking code,
Yeah.
assign it variables, and give it logic. And
And
Tag Manager is like a
helps
GUI
you-
on top of that.
Yeah.
So if you explored anything, like have you compared this to anything similar like Segment.io? Yeah, Segment.io is a similar thing. It's
I don't think
install
I've-
one tracking code.
Okay, so it's just
tagging.
another tag manager, because I know
Yeah,
Adobe
it's-
has one.
But it's more about like including things and it's less powerful, but some of these are slower, faster on page load speed.
I haven't, I just kinda go with Google.
Yeah, well, that's
I
what
mean,
we do.
I'm using analytics, I might as well
Yep,
use their
that's what
product.
we do at these pages. But with this, have you noticed any increase in like page load time?
I haven't looked at the page load time.
Because we saw that with Segment. There's a downside to Segment is we were using Segment to pull in Google Analytics and noticing 800 to 1200 milliseconds.
I
So
know
Segment
like
won't
one
go
of the
to
good
Segment.
things with this is since you can control, you can actually, that brings up another thing I can talk about. You can control like which page it exactly fires on. So if you only want one firing on, you know, the conversion page or the, I don't know, just any particular page, you can specify what page you would like that to fire on.
So you can tell it to load
Select
analytics on
page.
this page, but not on that page.
Yeah,
See, there's another downside. Like when we were using Segment, as opposed to this, we were using Intercom, another platform where you can pop messages up to the users,
Mhm.
and it would load on our page, and then someone would open a modal that has an iframe of another one of our pages, and that same window would open in our modal windows as well and ruined everything. So with Segment, we didn't have the control to be able to tell it use these tags on this pages, but not on that page.
yeah, so
That's
actually, this is a feature I haven't gotten to that I need to get to. Debugging, that is one that I think is awesome. So, since I have the Konami code, yeah, we're gonna do that much. Running, you can, so instead of just publishing it right away, there is preview and debug or save as a new version. The debugging has gotten a lot better on it. So now when I load this website, there's this nice little, let me kind of move out of the way some. There's this nice little debugger down here. So as I was showing you the data layer earlier, it doesn't make you have to go into the console and be a programmer to do it. It gives you all that, and some things you can fire earlier, just like when the DOM's ready, I believe. So, you know, you can flip through as to when things are firing. If I randomly click over here, another thing will pop up down there. So when I clicked, it pulled more data into the data layer, sorry. Being down there, no fun. That's better. So, and it also will show you all the different variables
Wow.
on that as well. So
That's slick.
if you know you want to get the click text, then you at least know what the click text would have been from that click. So like actually at one point, before I gave this talk for the last time I gave it, when I gave it in Kansas City, I was up till 3 in the morning trying to figure out why something wasn't working, and it turns out since version 2 was in beta, that variable wasn't working. So it kept showing up as undefined, and I spent forever like undefined, and eventually gave up when I found a comment in a blog that if you guys are interested in Tag Manager, there's a GDE, well, I'm assuming you are since you're here, there's a Google developer expert that writes about Tag Manager all the time. The web address, if you guys want to write this down, it's simoahava.com. That's SIMOAHAVA.com. And that's where I've gotten most of the stuff I've done at this point, because that guy has an amazing backlog of stuff. So I'm going to do the Konami code trick and hope that I have the right stuff here. Is it up, down, down, left, right, A, B?
BA.
Is it BA?
I always thought it was BA.
And it's like start.
That's for 2-player. It's like start on Contra, but
So up,
just
up,
start.
down, down, left, right, BA should fired. Let's go with the tags. Oh, I forgot the BA part. Up, down, down, left, BA. Damn it. I swear it worked last time. It worked last night. Up, down, down, left, right, BA. There we
There
go.
you go, man.
So,
Wow.
and that should have, I believe, down here, flip that around. This is what I have that set up.
There you go.
That is on that web address I just gave you, actually. This is where I grabbed that from. And that, since I didn't segment the stuff out with a lookup table, there is now an event that fired, which was Konami code. So yeah. I think I covered a good amount of stuff, and I hope I covered it well. Jeff has a question.
Alright, so this can track like all kinds of things, all these things that can track so many things. Is there any way to track just a little bit less so that you don't have people get as close to their line of uncomfortableness?
So you can just get page views?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just
Or
set up a simple, so,
I'm trying to think, brainstorm, like, what in the world would I use a random number generator for? And maybe it would be like to put some random,
Yeah, if there's like a distribution that you pick
yeah,
from.
like to randomize some of the digits.
or if
something.
you wanna have a random winner, maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
Like, when
Whatever.
someone comes to a page, if that random number generator ever hits, pick a
Yeah,
random
yeah,
number,
that could
this
be-
guy can win.
Yeah, so can you do it if, like, you've got certain data? Like, so basically, like, if you've got a number, like, if you've got a counter that hits 1 million, you can trigger, like, your millionth visitor.
I think that might end up having to be more of a JavaScript.
Oh, okay.
Plus,
Very
it'd end up
cool.
being the Google crawler anyway, so nobody would see it.
So you could just do a simple Google Analytics tag by going into the tags, which is where I meant to go at one point. Selecting analytics. You're gonna want to use universal analytics at this point. Putting your tracking ID in. Again, I suggest going in and keeping the tracking type of page view and fire on all pages, which is there by default.
So what you just did there is you were doing, instead of, if you use Google Analytics today, Google Analytics says put this on every page.
Yeah, well, typically you'll probably put it in a template.
Or in the template, okay.
Yeah.
But what you did here is,
Is a very simple use of Tag Manager
yeah,
that, I mean, if all you want to track is page views and just simply page views, you're probably just better off just sticking the analytics code in, because it's just a really small snippet. But if you want to do like the auto event tracking for the PDFs and events like that, I'd suggest going with Tag Manager.
so use that instead of the Google Analytics.
Yes.
side then.
But you would put analytics within that container. So
Say that again?
you would still have analytics going, but you want to be using the analytics tag. You would be using the Tag Manager tag and have all the other stuff within the container of Tag Manager. If that made sense.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
so is it kind of like, either you can use straight up Google Analytics,
Yeah.
or there's this box that has many more features that's Tag Manager, and in there, you can use analytics for some pages, doesn't have to be all, and you can also do all kinds of crazy awesome stuff.
Yes.
But if you're gonna use one world, don't use the other world, use the Tag Manager world inside of there, tell it to do Google Analytics on some of the things? Like this? Like
If you want to do crazy awesome stuff as well, you're still gonna have to put.
I mean, basically, are you gonna put only Tag Manager code, but including inside of that somehow analytics, or you're gonna put analytics code and Tag Manager code, and in the Tag Manager there is also analytics?
You
Are the two
would just
analytics
put Tag Manager.
Just
And
Tag.
within Tag Manager, the analytics code is there.
Yeah.
So if you put Tag Manager on there, then Analytics works and.
As long as you set up analytics on the web user interface of
we have
Tag
to do
Manager.
that.
So you've learned about a new Google product today,
Yes,
Googler.
thank you.
It's only been around for like 2 years.
Yeah, it's not that old.
I think it's about a year and a half, 2 years at least.
Yeah. I guess that's a long time.
But I think that's my time. I suggest you all do the DevFestMN survey. You can win 7-inch tablets. I hear there's Samsung ones. Just saying. If my talk sucks, I'd like to hear about it. So, I'll fill it out and tell myself I did awesome.
So do you have any, have you ever looked at all about how that, so, let me start over. You, pulled up that like inspector panel for Tag Manager. There, the debug console for it, whatever.
The console one or the...
Not the one built in the browser, the Tag Manager.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the second one I showed.
Yeah, the one you dragged all the way to the top, that one.
Okay, alright.
So that looks like just a, HTML overlay that they put on there to show all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
How did you get that to fire off again? Like to open up?
So that actually, if you sorry, I can't scroll. Just click the little arrow and say preview and debug. And while it's in the preview and debug mode, when you open that website,
Okay.
it'll pull that off.
I was hoping that it wasn't like you hit some URL or type in some code when you're on that page specifically
Nope.
because you don't want to load all that.
It essentially
debug
just,
stuff.
I believe, probably puts a cookie
Yep.
on your
Fire
computer.
something off when you
And it does it only locally. But while you're in there, like I said, all of that will still show up in your analytics.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's my only
if you set up
concern
that
with
lookup
tag
table like I
Yeah.
said earlier but not shown how to do.
Yep. My only
So-
concern with all of this tag manager stuff is just the payload or the overhead that it puts on a page. Google Analytics alone adds some time to the page load.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure what it does.
This tag manager, you put a code in, and then it pulls in other codes and puts them in dynamically. So.
I'm gonna unplug here and we'll continue this
Sure,
conversation.
no problem.
Just so the next guys who I feel like are already standing on their own
Thanks. Yep.
can get it. So I hope I did well enough on this talk. I hope you all learned something today.
I learned something.
And just because you were at my talk, if you want to scan my badge, I'm actually letting it be known now that I'm one of the endpoints.
Did you just out yourself?
I did, but I won't be outed very long. Once I leave this room, I'm floating it around again. Hey Lloyd, you want your...
Yes, I do.
Damn, I was going to take it home.
Very cute. I got you a few of the year.
What's the process for trying?
I know.
I think it's a visual marketing.
Good job, man.
You said you wanted to talk something.
Yeah, I was looking up stuff as you were talking about.
So it turns out, where to find
Yeah, I'd imagine that one has usually JavaScript.
an Android application. Right, so I thought it was going to be like an exercise in like the repository.
So,
Google Glass.
like I said, I hope you guys learned something.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't waste all of your time.
Our users are guys. I know that you can do a ton of services alone, that like our own software.
Or drag and drop game using the means stack. So
I had a
throw
feeling I would have
every single line of code we have,
pages
just go to
guys in
JavaScript.
there.
That's better.
How'd that guy? No, I know it is. That guy.
That's what I'm doing. I got tight. So. Who's in here next, Lloyd?
I don't know. This room A or room B?
This is room B.
It's a mean stack.
Oh, no, we gotta get it. No,
Yeah,
we need to
I'll leave it for
vacate now.
Yeah. Even now.
Why, what is it?
I gotta, like, stuff on the means stack.
No.
You know.
I like Angular.
Well, yeah, I know what you think, but.
Yeah. I just don't know if I care to run the stack.
Well, I fired one up the other day to send somebody a file and it was quick to do that. Like I used it for something that wasn't really.
I used it to send a file. I'm pretty sure they have email for that.
Well, I was on a computer that didn't have Dropbox, but I happened to have the portable mean stack thing, so I just fired it up immediately. But yeah, I always thought that heroku was like something that would prevent people from using the mean stack. Yeah, I don't like any first. So, we were gonna talk to somebody to try to get on.
Yeah, 'cause
Like, I want to be one of the listed. We have an event code that we give to
That was the part about
To install
that.
like site control.
I
Yeah.
want them to install, like, to, when they open Tag Manager, for there to say lead pages next to all the
Yeah.
buttons.
Oh,
That's what I was asking about that.
Yeah, there is a form to fill out, I believe.
Like a partner thing?
For request, yeah.
That's what I wanna do, I need to find somebody.
Yeah,
Maybe we can give someone some money and bribe them.
Right,
yeah. Martin
My buddy
clearly,
Jason
Martin will
works-
not know who to talk to.
Right, yeah, he has no idea.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, that's why you even asked
Yeah,
him.
what's
I
that?
knew he would know, he didn't even know what Tag Manager was.
Yeah.
My buddy
Like,
Jason works in
seriously.
the analytics department, I don't know if that's the same,
I think
They've both got some
if they know
integrations,
people.
but-
that's what I was gonna say, surely he can get me somebody.
Yeah, you got a lot of those, oh yeah, I know this guy.
I do, I'm like a mafia guy.
I'm one of those guys too, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like someone was talking about guessware the other day, I was like, I know somebody that works in guessware. Like, how is that possible?
You know,
Yeah.
I know everybody.
Plus,
Lloyd, did I fulfill your requirements as a speaker?
Okay, great, Dan, thank you.
All right, you don't have to lie to me. That was pretty sarcastic.
No, you're handsome and charming, and you did a great job. What?
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. It's actually useful.
No, it was good.
Everybody's gets real fancy with all these fancy database topics and stuff like that,
Right.
and nobody does awesome stuff like Tag Manager that's gonna save me hours of time.
Right?
Like real stuff?
Yeah.
And actually, now there's an API.
Real
So,
talk.
so I didn't even get into this, which again, there's an API now for Tag Manager.
Oh Lord, that's even better. If that's true, then that means someone doesn't have to go to the Tag Manager site to install our tag from lead pages. We can just say, click this button and off, and
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's some great stuff we can do.
they need to open up the Google Analytics API better.
That's the, I want to go to all of them. I want to hear Baskin talk. I want to hear
Gonna have to pick
Justin?
in one place.
what?
You can watch the video from a previous conference on Google.
This is why maybe next year I'll have a couple days worth. Fewer tracks and longer. Because I think Richard wants to work longer.
Special place for you, sir.